So I think we might be on the internet.
Since when?
Since right now, Kassia.
I didn't sign up for that.
Did you not sign up for that?
No.
I mean, well, welcome.
Thanks.
This is the S.H.A.R.E podcast where we talk about sex, relationships, and culture. Thank you for joining us. Kassia, why do you think that this is an important podcast? Why do you think we need to talk about these things? Sex, relationship, culture.
Well, these things are kind of a part of all of our lives, I would say. To some extent, we're all here because two people had sex. We are all a part of various relationships, whether it's family, work, friends, school, whatever that may be. And we're all living in the culture of today. We're not here 100 years ago or 200 years ago.
Right. We're here right now. And that's super important. And I feel like that is a great segue to talk about the right now fact that these conversations, you know, young people want to have them. Parents want to have them. Educators want to have them. They want to have them right now, not when it's too late. And so that's why we're coming to you guys with this wonderful podcast where we're going to talk about these things. We're going to invite guests to come on and give great perspectives from a place of professionalism and authority, people who are experts in their field. And we're very excited to talk with one of our guests later in our Real Talk segment. Her name is Michelle Best. She'll be joining us. But before we even get there, we probably should do some introductions, right? So
that's a good idea.
You know, so we're going to go around and we're going to introduce ourselves and our wonderful guest, our first guest that we have on our podcast, our ED, Lois Benham-Smith. She is wonderful. She is the one who leads this. She captains the ship.
Go, Lois.
She's a great leader. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take some time, introduce you guys to myself and Kassia, and then also to our guest, Lois. How we're going to do that is we're going to ask basically 5 questions. Name, education, work, quirk, and then a passion that you have. So I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and start. My name is Carl Henderson. My education, I have a bachelor's degree in pastoral ministry.
Okay.
And I have a master's degree in biblical literature. So all of the Bible things, I did a lot of reading, just a lot of reading in seminary. I work for Atwell. I am the S.H.A.R.E director. So when it comes to going into schools and youth organizations and talking to students and parents and teachers about sex, relationships, culture, facilitating those conversations in a healthy and safe way. Mm-hmm. That's what I do. A quirk of mine, I really... It's this weird thing that whenever I eat something, I have to smell it first. It's a very weird quirk. Like even water, like if I pour myself a glass of water, sometimes I'll just like smell the water
I thought
first.
Water didn't have a smell?
Well, it depends.
Depends?
It does depend.
Oh,
so that's just a weird quirk of mine.
Swamp water.
Swamp water.
Fair.
It happens. And then sometimes, you know, just water with the sulfur flavored water. Sometimes flavored water is actually really nice to smell. I feel like we're talking about water for a lot. And a passion of mine is I really enjoy music. I loved music for my entire life. I think my mom says I came out of the womb singing. So I've been involved in worship ministry and just music, writing music, recording music. I am in this fall going to be learning the jazz piano. So that'll be really fun. So yeah, all the musical things.
Very nice.
That's me. What about you, Kassia? What is your name, education, work, quirk, and passion?
I wonder what my name is.
I don't know what it is yet.
So my name is Kassia Stevenson. I studied child and youth work at Mohawk College in Hamilton. I'm currently working at Atwell with the S.H.A.R.E program and also at a youth shelter, a youth homeless shelter in downtown. A quirk of mine is I have some say a slightly unhealthy obsession with coffee. I think it's perfectly normal.
We're trying to get you help.
I think it's great. I drink a lot of coffee. It's wonderful. Whenever I travel, I just go around from coffee shop to coffee shop looking for the best cup of coffee. Found some pretty good ones lately. And a passion of mine is mental health and just advocacy around that and encouraging people to look for support, whether in a medicinal way, therapeutic way, whatever it may be, kind of figuring out what works for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How did you develop this passion for
Mental health.
mental health? Yeah.
I think just through various experiences in my own life, things that I've gone through, but also just experiences with those around me and seeing how it's affected them. And the lack of sometimes communication that there is about mental health in our society and the taboo that's still around it.
That's amazing. Now, some people would say this Kassia person, she's rather young to be talking about all of these very, heady and deep conversations and mental health and advocacy and all these things. Why do you think that having a younger person talking about these things is so important and so relevant to why you're on the podcast and also the co-host?
Well, I think part of it is I am a lot younger, so I'm currently living through a lot of these things and experiencing the effects firsthand of our education system and youth services and different things. Like I graduated from high school within the last decade, so I'm still pretty up to date with it. With my younger brother and his friends, I've been exposed to it a lot. So while you have like more of an outsider's, like older perspective on the current generation, I'm like still right in it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
If I say anything that is not, if I don't come correct, as they say.
It's okay. We're still working on your Hamilton slang.
My Hamilton slang. Feel free to correct me.
It's okay.
Great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
We are so excited that our first guest on our podcast is our ED. And I am going to throw it over to her. So what is your name? What education, work, quirk, and passion?
Okay, so if you're young, then that must make me ancient, Kassia. Just saying.
No.
It's all good. Listen, my name is Lois Benham-Smith, and I'm the Executive Director at Atwell. And my background, I am an RN by profession, and I've been the director here for 10 years that we've been in operation. So what is my quirk? Well, I would say generally I'm a pretty friendly, approachable person, except
there's a but.
Yes. First thing in the morning, don't talk to me. My husband says all I do is grunt for the first half hour, 45 minutes.
Okay.
So until I have my quiet time and my coffee,
Yep.
like the coffee piece, Kassia.
Yep. Very important.
I'm just not that approachable, let's say. Yeah. That would be my quirk.
That's a great quirk.
And my passion, again, I think I'm a fairly approachable type person, and I like connecting with people. I like connecting with people, and I like connecting other people to each other, because a lot of times it's about connection and networking, and how can I facilitate that for the good?
Yeah.
So I guess that would be one of my passion.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So with your passion, talk to us about how this passion became Atwell. This amazing nonprofit that we all work at, that you spearheaded, and talk to us a little about that, Lois, and why you decided to champion this cause.
Well, Atwell, like I said, it has been in operation for over 10 years, and we started. It wasn't just me; there was a bunch of other people too. So just saying that, but so we offer. There's a medical component to it, so we offer pregnancy options. Pregnancy assessment through point-of-care ultrasound, and we also have an STI clinic, which we see our clients coming through. They need some help around these areas, and that's why we went into the medical field. We also offer post-abortion support. Women and men that have issues with their abortion, we are there, if they have those problems, issues. And then we also have a baby boutique, so we support, women and their children. And we also have the educational piece, which is the S.H.A.R.E program, which we're really passionate about. We believe in education, understanding, support around healthy relationships and sexuality. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, it's so wonderful to work at a place that just cares about people.
Yeah.
And they care about people where they're at when they're there. And there's no discrimination. Like, everybody goes through so much, and life is really complicated and can be tricky.
And messy.
And
sometimes
messy.
life is really messy.
Yeah.
It's not, there's no formula.
Yeah.
No formula.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Atwell is a Christian organization. And Lois, could you speak to us a little bit more, speaking about like meeting people where they're at? Where did this name Atwell come from?
Well, Atwell actually comes from John 4 and Jesus' interaction with the Samaritan woman at the well. He met her with love, compassion, and truth. And that's the same posture of humility that we offer. And we to all of our clients that come through our doors, or any of the interactions that we have, whether that's with our clients, our volunteers, our staff, the community. We care.
Yeah.
We just care.
Yeah.
And that is personally one of the reasons why I joined the Atwell team. I just love that story of, meeting people where they're at, not asking, well, why are you here, or being judgmental, throwing judgmental questions at them, but just being like, oh, you're a person and you need help and you need love and you need support. And that's really been the heartbeat of Atwell. And with the S.H.A.R.E program, which is why we're here, S.H.A.R.E stands for Sexual Health and Relationship Education.
Yep.
And so that's our goal, is to talk about, sexual health, relationship education, answer those questions of about sex, answer those questions around relationships, and, how does culture influence these conversations?
More of a holistic approach to kind
Yes.
of all of these aspects,
Oh,
not
100%.
just separating them into different categories.
100%. And so our goal for this pilot episode is to kind of share with everybody, this is why we share. Mm-hmm. This is why we share. So Kassia, in your personal experience,
Yes.
why do you think it's important for us to share, specifically here in Hamilton, having grown up here, been in, the school system and going through that as a younger person?
Yeah. So I think one thing that sticks out to me, looking back when I was in school, is there wasn't a ton of sex education. A lot of the time it was kind of brushed over, whether intentionally or unintentionally. We all I'll remember conversations we would have at school. It was oh yeah, they always leave it till the end of the year and then just try and rush through it, because it can be an uncomfortable and awkward topic. But then a lot of people aren't informed about basic things that have to do with their body. The amount of misinformation about human anatomy, that it isn't even necessarily a sexual piece, just your body and how your body functions. That in of itself is a whole section, not to mention all of these other things. So you end up getting a lot of your information about relationships and sex from the media or online or TV, which isn't always the most accurate source of information.
Wait a minute. The internet is not correct all the time?
No.
Oh.
I know. Big shock.
I thought Google knew everything.
Because you can find just about anything on Google.
Yeah.
To back up just about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think from where I'm coming from, I think that this is super valuable, just in order to kind of talk about, okay, what is going on in the culture? What is the media saying? Because if that's where our teens and young adults and even adults are getting the majority of their information, what is that, what is being communicated, and how much of that is factual and how much of that has been misconstructed and misskewed over the years?
100%. And that's why we're so excited to bring in professionals and talk to them about these things. So when we look at
different opinions,
100%, when you look at sexuality through, for example, the lens of mental health, we'll have a psychotherapist with us who can talk to us about those things and hopefully educate and elevate the conversation around sex, relationships, and culture through this podcast.
Yeah. I think another big thing is we don't claim to have the answers or to be there's one way to do things and this is the way. But like you said, just having conversations, talking about it, getting it out in the open, because a lot of the times people just don't want to talk about anything to do with sex. And so then it gets suppressed and suppressed and suppressed, and we're all just kind of left in the dark.
Yep. So speaking of sex, relationships, and culture, because that's what we're going to be talking about. Every single episode, we're going to ask a question about sex, ask a question about relationships, and ask a question about culture. So we're all going to field one. I'll take the sex question. Lois, you'll do relationships, and Kassia, you'll do culture. We'll just go through why we're going to talk about those things. So we'll start with sex. Why do we need to have the conversation around sex? The reason why is because traditionally, especially in the church and in some cases in most schools, we don't talk about Bruno. We don't we don't talk about this topic nearly as enough as we should. And it facilitates a lot of shame. And shame because, one, either we don't know how to talk about it. Two, we feel personally shameful about ourselves, or 3, we've gone through something, traumatic, or we've experienced something that has caused us to kind of recoil or pull away from having these conversations. And
So just a second.
Yeah.
For those of us who are a little bit older, what is Bruno?
oh,
Like maybe we
Bruno.
should just
Start with that, Carl.
sure, we don't talk about Bruno. It's a Disney movie called Encanto.
okay.
And it's a song that we don't talk about Bruno, no. Yep.
Okay.
It's just a reference.
I haven't seen the movie either. It's okay, Lois.
Spoilers. Spoilers. It's a good song. Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote it. It's fantastic. But it was just I use that as a reference because it's just in that movie, they're all very hush about, like, we don't talk about this. And when it comes to conversations around sexuality or sex, everyone says, like, oh, we don't talk about this. And so we don't want that to be our norm. We don't want to, we want to open up the conversation, especially here in Hamilton and Halton and in the places that we're going as a community and as a program to have these conversations. We want to let people know that it is okay to talk about Bruno. It is okay to have conversations around sex and sexuality. And to let people know that sex is good. It's more than just body parts. It's a way to connect. It was created and designed as a way to build relationships. And done in a healthy way can be a really awesome and positive experience. Unfortunately, our culture is saturated with depictions of sexuality that are unhealthy, and a lot of people don't understand what consent means. A lot of people don't understand, what it mean, what healthy boundaries are around sexuality. And so we want to just facilitate those and ask sometimes awkward, sometimes hard, sometimes funny questions around sexuality and sex. So that's why we're going to be talking about that. Perfect. Lois, the second question that we'll always ask is a relationship question. Why do you think it's important that we facilitate conversations around relationships?
In a nutshell, because relationships, everything hinges on relationships, whether it's our home, our work, our social circle, our community, and intimate partners. I mean, all of things hinge on healthy relationships. So what is a healthy relationship? Who defines what a healthy relationship is? And at Atwell, we believe that every person has intrinsic value and every person is worthy of respect. And so what does that look like? And how is that manifested in a boots on the ground? This is what a healthy relationship has.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of misinformation about that. So back to what Carl was talking about, what is consent? What is boundaries? All of those sorts of things. So that's the crux of healthy relationships is intrinsic value and everyone having intrinsic value and everyone's worthy of respect. So, and that's our DNA and our ethos.
I agree. I think that our culture can sometimes be very, very selfish. And so it's like, what can I get? And how can I get ahead? Or how can I move forward?
Yeah.
And
even some of these love songs, like, man, it's like, you make me feel, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, even old ones. And I will not sing because I do not have the gift of music like others do. But, you make me feel brand new. Like, I mean, that's an oldie. But, it's all about me as opposed to others. Now, not to say that me does not have a place in this, because definitely me does. But it's about caring for others.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like what you said too about who is defining what a healthy relationship is. Because if you're getting it from music, like you said, a lot of song lyrics, when you actually listen to what they're saying, it's a bit disturbing. And you're like, okay, this isn't actually what I would want in a relationship or how I would want to be treated or have someone talk about me.
Yeah.
Pretty self-serving.
Yeah. So even just like, is that where you're getting your definition of a relationship? Do you have other sources that you're looking to for how you're defining what is going to be a healthy relationship for you? And one of the things I like that we do with the S.H.A.R.E program is when we go into different schools and youth services, equipping them, okay, how do you make a boundary? How do you think about, for you, what is a boundary that you want to set? And then how can you follow through with that?
And I love what you said there too, Kassia. It was like, where are you getting this information or education about what relationships look like. And a lot of times that is influenced by our culture, which is our third question that we'll always ask, a conversation about culture, whether what something that is going on, relevant, that it's going on in the world today, locally, things that are happening here in Hamilton, because culture informs so much of just how we see and see the world and how we, experience the world. So Kassia, talk to us about why it's important to elevate the conversation also around culture.
Yeah, so I think one of the big things, like even talking about relationships, the societal norms in a relationship in 2022 are very different than in 1920. Or whenever you want to go back in history, and maybe different than what they'll be in the future. But right here, right now, we have certain societal norms, and a lot of those have been changing over the years, especially in terms of how women are viewed and treated. There's been a lot of a shift in that, but still work to be done with the LGBT community. There's things going on with racism, right? So there's all of these pieces that in other cultures, other countries, even in 2022 are different than what it is right now in Hamilton. But also in different time periods. So being able to talk about that, but also recognizing that people are still people. Throughout all of history, people have been people. There's still that need in people to be loved, to be respected, to feel that they have value. So even though things are changing and different, there are still things that are the same. So how do we kind of figure out how that all flows together and mixes, and what do we do with that?
100%. And I love what you just said. Is like, people are still people. And one of the things that one of our goals here with this podcast is to not only educate, which is a big goal, but also to perhaps build bridges between people, to have conversations, to elevate conversations, and instead of maybe being, tackling these issues from a polarized perspective, coming together and be like, okay, well, where can we find at least a common ground? Where can we sit down together at a table and have conversations that are important, conversations that, that affect everybody? And I think that really goes back to what you were talking about, Lois, that, relational piece. How can we also build relationships instead of breaking them down? And I think that's one of the reasons why I personally love Atwell so much, is it just builds relationships and it doesn't break it down. It offers a place of safety and support. And so if someone wanted to get involved or know more about Atwell itself and how to build relationships, how to help this community and help people feel safe and supported, how could people get involved with what Atwell is doing? And what is Atwell doing right now?
Well, Atwell's doing an awful lot. We're in the midst of launching a new center in the Halton area. So we're locating at 154 Church Street in downtown Oakville. So that'll be our second Atwell location, and we're really excited about that. And there's different areas if you have time and energy and desire to volunteer with us. There's different areas of our programming that I've discussed earlier, whether it's volunteering with maybe even our S.H.A.R.E program if you're a public speaker or you just want to connect people that way. Administratively,
you just want to hang out with me and Carl.
There you go. There you go. We also have, our baby boutique that needs to be stocked. We have lots of different opportunities, within the different programs that we service as well. And then also we are a Christian ministry and we really do appreciate prayer. If you want to pray for us, we really appreciate that too. So simple things as well as a little bit more complex things, but we really appreciate anything that people can do for us in terms of volunteering or praying or, actually donate too. We are a charity, and of course, we have to pay the bills too. So lots of opportunities.
That's awesome. And if somebody wanted to donate, where would they go to do that?
You can contact our office, but you can also go online, and our website is atwellcentre.ca. Pretty easy, and then from there, you can just take it from the website.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I think we're actually coming to the close of our first pilot episode, which is really exciting.
It is exciting.
If somebody were to need almost immediate assistance, Kassia, where are some places that they can contact to get help? Because these, when it comes to sex and relationship culture, and life is messy, sometimes people need that extra support.
There can be a lot of hurt
right now.
and different things. Yeah. So one of the places you can contact is the Atwell Centre. Monday to Friday, we have someone in the office. So our number is 905-393-8525 if you need to call to either just talk or kind of figure out how to get connected to various services. We can try and help guide you with that, whether it's through us or if, we don't necessarily offer that service, but we can help connect you to someone who does. And then another number is the Coast Mental Health Crisis Hotline for Hamilton, which is 905-972-8338. And they respond to mental health crisis situations. If you just need someone to talk to, if you need support, they are a really good resource. There's other hotlines online as well that you can find the numbers to, or texting chats with someone one-on-one. But those are two resources right here in Hamilton.
Amazing. So we just want to thank you guys for tuning in, for listening to our pilot episode. We're excited. It's going to be a great ride. I'm looking forward to
learning things,
talking to people in the community, hearing from you, especially hearing from you guys. We have our question and answer kind of segment that we're going to call Real Talk, that we will be hosting in a week from when this is posted. And one of the people that we'll have on that segment is Michelle Best. She's going to come in and basically give an overview and look at, why we should have this podcast, and specifically why from the perspective of a parent and an educator. Yep. Why should parents and educators be listening and tuning in? And so we're going to ask her some questions, and she's just going to give us some real talk about some practical.
That was some good lingo, Carl.
Was it?
Yeah.
I did a thing. That's great.
Proud.
So one quick question then.
Yes.
This podcast is for then who? Who do you want to be listening to this?
That is a great question, Lois. This podcast, honestly, we invite everybody to listen, but our targeted audience really are older teenagers, college students, parents specifically, and educators. So if you work with the youth, this is a podcast for you. I want to actually come back to that, to parents for a second. I feel like there are so many voices that continually talk to our young people and try to educate them or influence them about sex, relationships, culture. And not all of those voices are positive ones. And the most influential voice in a child's life is their parent. And so we want to help parents specifically be able to facilitate healthy conversations, make sure that we do actually talk about Bruno with our young people. And the best people to do that oftentimes, not in every situation, because every situation is different, but oftentimes just a parent or a trusted adult. If you're that trusted adult for a young person and they're going through, puberty or having, dating for the first time, this is the podcast to listen to. And we're so excited to help you out.
So really what you're saying in a nutshell is that for parents, for educators, for teens, college, university students, we're a credible source of information. Our agenda is only, healthy relationships and good conversations and information to go forward with.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing?
That is 100% what you're hearing.
Good.
And the people that we'll be having on the podcast itself will be professionals, people who have the education to back up what they're saying. Right. And so we're very excited about that. We're very excited to hear from Michelle in our Real Talk segment. And so tune in for that. And this is why we share.
This is why we share.
Yeah, this is why we share.